Hey guys, this is Danny from the AskScooby forums, and this is my first interview I'm going to do. This will be a series with people like Little Sprite, Polished, who is on the show today, other
Hello, everyone.
moderators and other previous award winners, members of the month, and people like that. So you know what to expect. A lot of chatting, a lot of small talk, a lot of member questions. I'm going to open topic for each and every one of these interviewees, and you can post your questions there. Also, there will be one big topic for every interview, and for this interview, it's obvious what I just picked the most obvious one. It was intermittent fasting. Polished is a pro at that, and now let's introduce the very special guest, Polished, also known as David.
Hi, everyone. I'm David, also known as Polished. And Danny asked me to be part of the interview series, and I'm honored.
That's great. That's great. First off, could you share some personal information? Like, obviously, your name is David, but how old are you? Where you're from? How long
Yeah,
have you
sure.
been lifting and stuff like that?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm 22 years old. I grew up in the United States, born in California. I went to school in Los Angeles, and now I'm studying to get my master's out in Houston. So I'm a Texas boy now.
That's great. So, you're attending university. Do you already have your bachelor?
I do. I have a bachelor's of arts in music performance, and
Oh,
now
that's why I got
master.
some
Yeah.
music questions from the
Yeah,
members.
that's right. Who authorized? Yeah.
That's great. So, do you also have a job or do you just study?
The only work that I do aside from being a full-time student
Hmm.
is I teach a lot of music. So I
Oh,
teach
okay.
trumpet to high school students and just work as a freelance professional artist.
You
So
teach
whenever I
trumpet,
get a
so
gig,
that's your favorite musical instrument, or?
yeah, I mean it's the instrument that I'm getting my degree in. I wouldn't
Oh, okay.
necessarily say it's my favorite. I also play piano and I'm working a lot on compositions. So.
So piano is the favorite then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's what I started on, so it's kind of my home base.
Yeah, that's cool to hear.
Mm.
So I think everyone would be interested in how you got your username. Where is it from? Is it like polished weights or is it something else?
Actually, when I signed up for the forum, I had just finished practicing trumpet for a while, and it was just sitting in the corner on its stand, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "Damn, that thing kind of looks gross. I need to polish it." And there it was. So polished became
Oh,
my
that's
name.
great. It's like so catchy and so short and nice and sweet, and
Mm. It,
everybody
it
knows
all
you
just
by
seemed
now,
to,
I
yeah,
think.
it all just happened.
That's great. So how did you come across the Ask Scooby forum? I guess you watch Scooby's videos on YouTube, but
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I figured out pretty early on that there's a lot of really terrible information on YouTube when it comes to fitness and
mhm.
nutrition and stuff. And while Scooby, is pretty general, it's targeting the beginner. It has a lot of good stuff to go on. So I started looking at more of Scooby's videos, and then I saw his website, and then I saw the link to the forum. So that's how I found it.
Oh, that's great. And do you like it so far?
Yeah, I've been there for a couple years. All the friends that you can make and check
Hmm.
on their progress and share your own, excitement about
It's
lifting
great.
weights.
I think
Most
especially
of most of my friends in real life are just like, you're kind of weird. So, you know,
whatever, screw them.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
especially the progress diaries, it's so great how everybody motivates everybody else and how everybody's staying friendly and stuff like that. It's really a very special place to be, I think.
yeah, I think so too.
All right, very funny question, potentially. Do you remember your very first workout?
Uh, I actually do. I have this weird kind of detail retentive memory, and I
Oh,
remember walking. I remember walking into the gym with a little spreadsheet printed out because I had watched the Scooby YouTube video on a chest workout. Of course,
the
my
killer
first
chest
workout was
workout.
chest, the killer chest workout,
Okay.
and I didn't have a workout buddy. So I just went over to the dumbbell section because I was one of those guys who, when I was starting out, I didn't want to drop a bench press barbell on
Yeah,
myself.
obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was just doing dumbbell chest press for about 45 minutes, and I felt like $1,000,000 But of course, now I know better. It probably didn't do very much, but at the time I was like, yes, I'm working out. I'm
That's
changing
it,
my
man.
life.
That's the perfect routine.
Yeah. And then after that, thankfully, I had watched enough Scooby
Yeah.
to realize that cardio was the big thing. And so I went on the elliptical for 45 minutes.
But I think everyone is like that. I think most people. I remember when I did my first workout, I just did like daily sit-ups and daily push-ups, and that's it. Throw some curls in there, some bro curls.
ABCs, abs, chest, and biceps.
Obviously, yeah. That's the thing.
The only way to go.
All right, so you screwed up like everyone else at first. That's
pretty much
good to hear, because you're obviously a big inspiration for many people out there.
Although I will have you know that my second workout was all legs. It was just squats and leg press. So.
Well, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Not bad.
Although, of course, I didn't squat to depth, so that's all right.
Yeah, sure. I don't think anyone can squat to death on the first workout.
Except for women. That's why I'm jealous.
Oh my god. So anyway, I guess you have never worked out at home then, or because you said your first workout was at a commercial gym, so you have always been working out there?
It was at my university gym, yeah. I've done a number of home workouts. Just, when I'm traveling, I like to be creative and come up with, ways to not just let all of my progress go to the wayside. So I do lots of pull-ups, various grips, and lots of push-ups, lots of narrow grip push-ups for, keeping everything.
Like to mix it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Variate the grips and stuff like that. Yeah, that's great. Well, anyway, now while we're at the topic of exercises, do you have a favorite, or do you just working out in general?
As long as I'm touching a barbell, I'm pretty happy.
Okay.
But I think my favorite exercise has to be deadlifts.
Okay.
I've noticed no other significant improvement in my overall athleticism as when I'm, in a deadlifting phase. I can sprint for longer. I can sprint faster. Just everything is,
so
it's ready to go.
You're a sprinter, or?
I'm not a sprinter, but the sports that I do play really favor sprinting. So, like soccer and ultimate frisbee.
Ultimate frisbee, that's a great sport. We played it at our school, actually. It was great fun.
Really good exercise. It's
really funny.
Yeah.
So I guess that answers the question what other sports you do.
Yeah, pretty much just frisbee, and whatever I can do to get out and keep moving. So I do a lot of soccer,
or
a lot
football,
of biking
as we Europeans would call it.
Yes, football.
I'm sorry. No, you don't have to be sorry. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my friends is actually a pretty decent biker. He has one of the carbon fiber frames and all the jerseys and the helmets, and so he's cruising along at 25 miles an hour.
$1,000 into biking, I guess.
Oh, thousands. His frame alone is $8,000, 8,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I'm not that serious about it, but I go out there and try to keep up.
Yeah. Cycling is good for your health and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, before this gets out of hand, a couple of other questions, not necessarily related to weightlifting. Sorry, somebody's messaging me. I have to set my status to busy.
Invisible.
You don't hear the Skype sound, because then people will be like, "What? Somebody's messaging me on Skype, man! Gotta check it out." And then they check their Skype. Oh, it was nobody. Forever alone.
Forever alone.
Yeah.
It was just an update reminder.
It was just my imagination.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, you're from Texas. Favorite food would be steak then, right now?
Oh my goodness! No matter where I am, if you put a steak on the table, I'm a happy man.
Okay, that's great to hear. Steak
breakfast. Breakfast is still the best steak of the day, but
breakfast steak. The thing for me is, when I'm having breakfast, I can't eat as much as I would like, because I'm feeling a bit not necessarily sick in the morning, but not feeling as well as when I'm having lunch. So I can always eat a lot more food when I'm eating lunch. So I would have my steak for lunch or for dinner, but not in the morning.
Yeah. I can eat pretty much any time of the day. So
that's good for you. So favorite beverage? Beer?
Coffee.
Coffee, okay. Do you drink alcohol at all, or?
That would be putting it lightly, yes. As a musician, that's kind of the culture that I'm a part of. So
That's like the bad habit that you have to, that you ought to
oh,
have.
it's it's our version of business meetings. The high
Yeah,
class
yeah.
lawyers go have their fancy dinners, and brass players go to the pub.
But I
So
hope you
that's
still,
where we get business done.
are you still able to play sober or not?
It depends on the type of music I'm playing.
Okay.
I can play pretty much anything while drunk,
Okay, that's.
but jazz is the most fun.
But I
Jazz and
think there are a
funk.
lot of artists who play drunk, even on stage and stuff like that.
There are artists who play many levels of intoxication past drunk. Yeah.
Wow. Well, they're used to it, so I guess it works for them.
Yeah, absolutely, if they're used to it. But the first time, I'm sure they had a pretty rough show.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So as you're a very musical person, I think many people are interested in what your favorite music is, like favorite band or favorite genre.
Oh man, that's
Okay,
that's the
let's
$1,000,000
keep it
question.
kind of
I
short.
could talk
like
forever.
you don't have to. This interview is not mainly about.
I can be quick.
Okay.
I mean, when I'm at the gym, I usually don't listen to any music.
Okay.
I kind of use the gym as a meditative session. Everything is all about focus and clean energy and trying to, really get absorbed in what I'm doing. But when
100%
I'm
focus.
not in the gym, I listen to pretty much anything. And that
Okay.
goes from classical music, symphonies, to R&B, funk, even, rap. Anything, you name it, I've probably heard it.
But no dubstep, right?
Dubstep, actually, I've listened to some of that. I have
Okay.
I have a pretty beastly subwoofer, so dubstep needs to happen every once in a while.
So your neighbors, yeah, they
They're pretty unhappy.
they
yes.
hate you, or okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Having a 12-inch subwoofer will pretty much shake the entire foundation.
Well, good to hear that. So, other hobbies? Do you have any other hobbies? Do you play computer games? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. We talked a little bit before this interview just to break the ice and stuff like that. And you were mentioning very special game.
Oh,
I don't know
no.
if you wanna
Man,
talk about it.
You totally brought it to the table. I guess I got to go there now. I used to play World of Warcraft.
Okay.
And hey, maybe that's one of the reasons I'm such a good lifter, because I'm so goal oriented. The achievement
true.
system, man, it's all about
Also
those
the
achievements.
analytical mind that's behind.
Yes, the
everything.
analytical mind, always planning, always obsessing. Like when you just need that last little piece of gear, man. You obsess about how to get it. Obsess about how to get it, but you want that extra 5 pounds on your squat. You're gonna figure out a way to get it.
That's great. So, other than computer games,
Oh
obviously
yes.
you like music. You play music yourself. You compose.
Well, I mean,
yourself.
music is my career. Music is my life.
But it's not your
So-
hobby, or is it?
No, so
Okay.
that's the thing. It doesn't necessarily count as a hobby at that point.
Okay.
But my hobby recently has been audiophilia. I love high fidelity sound. And so I've become obsessed with, upgrading my speakers and getting a nice receiver. And I just finished a 7.1 audio channel surround sound setup. So I'm pretty happy.
So
Yeah.
your neighbor's gonna like you even more.
Yeah, even more. But it's pretty
Great.
great. They come over and watch movies.
Oh, yeah, that's fine then.
Yeah. So speakers. That's pretty much my hobby right now.
Oh, great. Everybody needs a hobby. Guess you could always work on speakers.
That's true. Electronics.
Yeah, so next up, I think everybody who knows you knows that you're very, very intellectual and knowledgeable guy. So they might be wondering, where does Polished actually learn his stuff? Do you have any favorite websites, blogs, or do you read any books or stuff like that about weightlifting and fasting and nutrition and stuff like that? Or do you just, I don't know that stuff because you're Polished?
I mean, as much as I'd love to say that that's the reason, no, I had to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
I've read every book that I've managed to get my hands on. I read Starting Strength, the second edition, because one of my friends still had that one.
I read them too.
Yeah, I read a couple of Tom Venuto books. Mostly his diet books, because he prepared a lot of really awesome looking people to get pretty shredded pretty quick. So I read his diet books. Other than that, I research a lot on PubMed. You know, a lot of good abstracts get posted there pretty regularly. Lean Gains has links to a lot of really pertinent studies, especially, you know, in concerns to intermittent fasting and stuff.
Leangains.com, that website?
Lean Gains, yeah, Martin Birkin, that one.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think I just kind of read through all the, you know, ooh rah rah T Nation articles and kind of, you know, take them with a big grain of salt. But there's some good information.
Usually the T Nation articles are usually not backed up by studies, so I mean,
right? They're kind of
there is a lot of bro science, but there's also really a lot of really good information over there. You have to give it to the site that they really also don't only produce crap; they also produce a lot of very good stuff.
A lot of really good stuff, especially, you know, when I look at the article that's been posted recently, I look at the author.
Yeah,
and almost invariably, if it's a Brett Contreras or a Ben Bruno, you know, it's going to be a worthwhile article to read, even if it's just reminding you of some core principles. Right. Yeah. So that's where I get all my info.
That's great. So I don't want to do this too quickly or stuff like that, but we are already, I think, like 10 to 15 minutes in, if I'm not mistaken. But it doesn't feel stressed or anything to me like that. If you want to make it faster or slower, I don't care.
Hey, man, just got to go with the motion of the ocean.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow, Danny.
Okay, then before we move on to member questions, one last thing I'd like to know, not only myself, but probably many other people too. How did consistently working out change your life in general, and also maybe related to girls? Because I was noticing some people were asking about some girl stuff or dating stuff like that.
Girl stuff, yeah. Working out consistently has done more to change my life than most things that I've done. Learning how to discipline your own life and take control of one aspect opens the door to controlling other aspects of your life. When I started working out consistently, my discipline in the practice room got better. My discipline in my studying got better. And, I just lived a more fulfilling life. And I think I know why. And I just have been recently talking with a friend about this. It really ingrains the concept of hard work in, results out. It's that system. You have one unit in, and you get a unit of result out.
Absolutely.
And ingraining that concept of hard work, applies to all areas of your life. So when I practice for an hour a day more, I get a lot better, a lot faster. Or if I go into the gym and just, grease a couple movement patterns, even if I feel shitty that day, that's good and I get benefit from it. So that's how it's changed my life. Oh, and it helps that I went through a pretty amazing transformation. You physically. Yeah.
Did you make it to or did you submit that success story to Scooby?
Not yet. I was thinking about it. I have until what, April 1st?
Well, yeah, you have. Or you wanna win the prize?
Yeah.
What was it? I think invitation and
I think
coaching or something like that.
Yeah, you get to hang and lift with Scooby. That would be pretty cool.
That would be great.
Yeah. I can imagine just cruising around my university gym with Scooby, just chatting.
Hey Scooby, how's it going? How's that killer chest workout?
Oh man, doing a chest workout with Scooby would be absurd.
That would be amazing.
What does he do? 105 pound flies or 115? I think it's 115. Either way, it's a staggering figure.
He's doing a lot. He's like using more on flies than some people use on the dumbbell bench.
Oh
obviously.
Yeah, way more than I use.
Maxing out the dumbbells, I think, at the gym.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, my gym goes all the way up to 150s, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
But still, man, like I remember not a couple of years, but some time ago, he was like mentioning, "Wow, I have to get back into lifting. I'm just lifting 90 pounds for flies and dumbbells." And I'm like, "What the hell, man? That's crazy."
It was like no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Scooby's
girls,
a beast, man. Gotta give it
Girls,
to him.
girls, you gotta
Girls.
focus. Let's focus.
Okay, focus on girls, man.
Yeah, I mean the girl situations have become very interesting since my body transformation, and it's almost like my psyche is racing to keep up, because I still think back in the days of being a fat kid, and so when girls come up to me and like are straight up hitting on me, I'm like, this can't be real life. Is this what normal people feel like? Is this what hot
real
people
life?
feel like? Yeah, is this real?
God.
So yeah, it's interesting, but as
But
everybody likes
as
to say,
always, girls don't
matter.
care about looks. They just care about what's on the inside, right? Right?
yes, right. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Well, anyway, that was it for the general questions that I thought of myself. I'm so proud of myself.
Did you want to talk more about intermittent fasting? Because we kind of brushed over that.
That will be after the member questions.
Oh, okay, great.
That will be.
Man, you got a system. I'm along for the ride.
I got a pretty awesome system, man. I thought of this myself. I have the Word document here.
I concede to you, sir.
To-do list that I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First member question. I'm going to pronounce every username wrong here. I'm sorry for that in advance, but bear with me.
Yeah, it won't bother me.
Hua Fries. He has a couple of questions. I'm not going to get into every one of them. The first one is, will you ever learn to play guitar?
I really, really want to. At this point, it's just a question of time. And time that I may or may not have. So yes, I think the answer to that is yes. Okay,
so that's great. I mean, you're such an inspiration already. You have made so much progress. You're such a great guy, man. It's amazing how you can also learn like 3 instruments or more. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, hey, when you start when you're 4 years old and you don't really go to real people classes, you got time to work things.
All right, so next question. Do you like BBCs?
Yeah.
Okay. No, just kidding. Let's skip that one. I just wanted to mention
only
it.
on Tuesdays. Only on Tuesdays.
Okay. Just wanted to mention it so people don't feel left out.
Yeah.
Another question about your workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we haven't touched that yet. Do you have a special routine, or is it just full body lifting all the way?
I've experimented pretty much since the day I started lifting with just finding the ideal routine for me. And it seems to be some variation on upper-lower splits.
Okay, because that kind of answers the question I wanted to ask you. Hua Fries wants to know, why do your workouts look so random?
And that one's an easier question to answer. And it's because I go into every workout with a very specific goal in mind. If it's an upper body day and it's a press-oriented day, I'll walk over to the rack. I will get done what I set out to do. And then after that, I go by feel. If I feel like I need a little bit more, tricep stimulation that day, I'll do some close grip bench or some, push downs. Or if I feel like I'm really, starting to roll in, get anterior dominant, I'll do a lot of pulling, and I'll just dedicate the rest of the day to opening back up and working on mobility. So it really depends on how I feel. That's why it's random.
That's very interesting. In fact, I think another member, Fireball, I think you know him too.
Yeah.
He was training like this too for quite a couple of months, and his whole routine was like that. It was not just like accessory stuff or assistance exercises. It was his whole routine. He was like, okay, I'm at the gym, what do I want to do? I'm gonna do squats. Okay, I'm done with that. I'm gonna do bench press. And he was like that all the time. It was very interesting to read his, or was it another guy, or was it Muesli? I think Muesli, or how do you pronounce it? Or I don't know. One of the two, I think, was like that. It was very interesting to read their diary, because every workout was different from the next one.
That sounds more like instinctive training.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to me, but I still have kind of a template, but it's the assistance exercises are the ones that are instinctive. So I always have a specific goal that doesn't necessarily change from week to week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then Juan RM1992 asks, do you plan to compete in powerlifting?
Maybe someday. I can't really dedicate a whole lot of my time right now to making sure I'm in a good enough strength accumulation phase, or how to peak properly. And I just there's so much involved in competing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think people just see your lifts and they're like, wow, this guy is strong, man. Why doesn't he compete? And then they don't know that you're actually a musician and do a lot of other stuff, and they just that's another thing about enjoying powerlifting as a musician. You really have to understand a very delicate balance between staying very tight when you're in the gym and then learning how to let go of that tension so you can perform your instrument optimally. So it's a tricky business, and that's one of the reasons I haven't been really hammering my workouts as hard as I can. All right, then the next one is from STP. He's asking, do you consider starting a personal YouTube channel or not?
YouTube channel, probably not.
Okay.
I was considering starting a blog at some point, just because a blog, even if it's a lifting-oriented blog, is just a way to kind of pontificate and get things off your chest, and maybe people are interested.
A lot easier. You don't have to edit stuff. You don't have to record. You can just sit in front of the computer and you have a couple of minutes and you just write a blog post, right?
Yeah.
That's great. All right, next one from... which one am I going to pick? Oh, that's a good one. I think I didn't ask you that before. From Get Big, why did you start training? Why did you actually start training? I think we haven't touched on that, right?
No, we haven't. And it's a good question. I mean, it's always a very interesting question, no matter who you ask, because they all have very personal answers. I started training the day after one of my ex-girlfriends left me for another guy.
Wow, man.
Yeah, that was like the thing that kind of tipped my life over that edge of, man, I need to do something. Because I was, at that point, I think my heaviest that I had ever been, I was 312 pounds.
Wow.
And I don't know how many
obviously
kilos
not a lot
that
of
is.
muscle, right?
Yeah, that's around what?
Well, just divided by 2.2
kilos.
and you got the kilos.
Yeah.
Like
so
over
I
100 kilos, so yeah.
Yeah, pretty big
How
dude.
tall are you, by the way?
I'm 5'11" and some change. So.
5'11", that's almost like me. It's like 180, right? In meters,
somewhere, yeah.
1.80.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Okay. Wow, man, that's a bummer. But I'm glad you took advantage of that, and I think she's very, very sorry right now that she left.
Oh
you.
yeah, the best part is now she's a little bit overweight.
Oh yeah,
I have a six pack.
Oh my God, she's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
When she sees you.
She's married. She's over it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Married
but
already?
She still had that same reaction. She was like, damn, when did that happen?
Damn, that guy looks good without all the fat.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I lost 100 and what was that? 36 pounds of fat and a little bit of muscle, I think. So I lost 136 pounds in less than 2 years. So I went for it, man.
Man, that is I can't say it enough. You're such an inspiration.
Oh, thanks.
But anyway, let's go to the next question. The questions of all questions. I think everybody's right now. It's by Minimalist Man. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The question is, do you even lift?
I ask myself this question when I wake up in the mornings, and I walk over to the mirror, and I look in the mirror, and I look straight into my eyes. I say, do you even lift? And I think of Minimalist and whatever his face may look like, just mocking me in the background.
Oh my God. And then you say, oh well, screw it, and you lift.
Yeah, and then I go
500 pounds deadlift. Or whatever.
Yeah, not yet, but I'm getting there.
You're getting there, pretty close.
Speaking of which, I'll go ahead and go to this one. Sir Crocodile, 300 kg deadlift. Why don't you speak in American? I don't know what a kg is. Is that like a cantaloupe? Why the hell would you want 300 cantaloupes? And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, let's skip the crocodile question then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go actually to a more interesting question from, I don't know how to pronounce his username. Alsavier, is it French? Or Alsavier?
Alsavier is how I say it.
Alsavier?
Yeah.
Like I'll save you or what?
Yeah, or
I
like
don't know.
our savior.
Our savior.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. I will just put the username somewhere here and you will know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any forum members that have influenced your training in a positive way?
Absolutely.
Who?
Absolutely, in a big way. Him, for instance, Alsavier. I mean, every time I look at his blog, he has a blog, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Every time I look at his blog, he's always so intense about lifting, and it's that kind of that single-minded focus and drive to accomplish, all of these lifting goals. And it's very inspirational because sometimes everybody catches themselves going to the gym and just running through the motions. Even
some people are so interesting. I think he's pretty young, but some people on the forums they are so interesting and they are so sophisticated. They write these huge articles filled with motivational stuff, and as you said, it's just great that we have people like him on the forums that inspire and influence other people in a positive way. That's just amazing, in my opinion. That even if you're not like 30 or 40 years old with decades of experience, you can still influence other people in a positive way.
Yeah, man, inspiration isn't limited to age.
Yeah,
it's and all the young guys on the forum that are really, really into it, like Alsavier, Raj, Get Big, all these young guys who have potentially really serious lifting careers in front of them.
If they want to pursue them,
yeah. If that's something they want to do, they definitely have the raw materials to do it with. All very inspiring. I think the biggest thing that influences my training, at least with guys on the forum, is just the number of eyes looking at what you're doing and the number of brains thinking about, noticing patterns, what's helping you out. Why haven't you done this lift in a while? It seems like you're really enjoying it. And you just, you forgot about it. And you're like, damn, that's a really good point. I should start doing more back extensions or something.
Absolutely.
My deadlift.
I always wonder if those wake-up calls aren't a lot better or more beneficial to you and me, for example, than those pat on the backs. Because, I mean, it's good to have people who are like, yeah, good workout, man. It's good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
But there are some people who are like, oh, if they see your squatting video or something like that, and they say, oh, look at that weakness there, the knee caved in at that point and stuff like that. You might want to do this and that to fix that. It's really helping a lot.
Yeah, man. Nobody needs to be the biggest fish. Yeah, nobody needs to be the strongest guy in the gym or strongest guy in the forum, because there's always somebody to learn from, and that's the key, and that's why I keep coming back, for guys
obviously. Also, the atmosphere is so great. You can, I think, on other forums, especially, some people might have the fear that they ask a question and people jump at them. Wow, you're fucking retarded, man. What's up with you? Do you even lift? Wow, man, that was so stupid. And people here, they really take their time.
Yeah, good old miscellaneous sections, man.
They take their time anyway, and they write these very detailed answers.
Very detailed.
I'm really grateful for this forum. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I want to say. So anyway, last question before we move on, because it's already half an hour long interview, I think. I'm sorry for that, but I mean, intermittent fasting, many people are probably interested in that. But anyway, the last question is, are you happy with yourself and your fitness gains? From Ruby90.
If I have to answer that completely honestly, I'd say yes, I'm happy with what I've done. However, and there's always a caveat with a lifter. There's always one. I cannot wait to go into the gym every day that I lift and find something that I can do better than the last time I was there. I'm obsessed with improvement.
Yeah, some people don't get it. They're like, you already look so amazing, man. Why do you want to get better or bigger? Or why do you want to lose a couple of pounds of fat or stuff like that, they don't understand the mindset of somebody like you who is just like all about improving. It's not about like reaching this or that number on squats, deadlifts, or on the scale. It's all about the progress. It's all about improving yourself. You can always learn new stuff. You can always be a better guy than you were yesterday. So I think that's one of the greatest things about lifting.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to say. It's not about a number. It's about really feeling like you're improving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So thanks for all the people who submitted questions. I appreciate it. Let's move on to the main topic for today. We're gonna talk a little bit about it. I think many people just need a starting point, stuff like that. So I will also put a couple of links, or if you want to share a couple of links, you can also tell me that.
Yeah,
I have
sure.
a little bit of feedback at the moment, but I hope that will be fine when I edit the video. So
yeah, absolutely.
okay. So intermittent fasting, for somebody who has never heard about this, what is this thing?
In a nutshell, so when I explain this as quickly as possible, it's eating whenever you want to eat and getting your macros for the day. That is intermittent fasting to me. Yes, the name itself implies that there is a fasting period. But really the core concept is not worrying about food so much and making it into a manageable system.
So how many meals per day do you eat personally?
Personally, I eat, roughly 2 meals a day. I eat one very small meal about an hour before I work out, just so I, psychological reasons really. And then
so you don't feel empty.
Yeah. And then normally I try to time my workouts so that I have dinner right afterwards, lift early afternoon and then kind of chill and then eat a big meal. But sometimes if I have to lift at 12 or 13, I will eat a small meal right after and then wait until dinner later. So 3 meals a day.
Okay, that's cool, because a lot of bodybuilders, they say, okay, if you wanna bulk up and stuff like that, you have to eat 5 to 7 meals per day, evenly spaced out. Protein has to be appropriate and stuff like that. And then there's people like you who just eat what they want. They have, obviously you have to get your macros, so protein and fat and the carbs have to be in check. But
yeah, and it really pisses off those people that eat 5 or 7 meals a day. They're like, I actually,
how can you do that?
Yeah.
Man?
I hear these guys at the gym all the time, and they're the ones carrying around their shaker cups with, intra workout supplements. And it's all this ridiculous stuff, and they occupy their 5-minute rest times by talking about, yeah, bro. So I got this weight gainer shake, and I have like 2 of them every 3 hours because I don't mind my muscle catabolism, man. That would be the worst. Catabolism. It's all about that catabolism, bro.
But also, it's funny because everybody of those people who say you have to eat 5 to 7 times per day, it's just bro science. I haven't found a single study that backs this up, actually. I have found, I think a couple of studies about this subject too, but meal frequency is it called, and I think there were hardly any differences between, I think, what was it, 1 to 3 meals per day. And the only difference, there was a slight indication by, I think, some substances in the urine of the test subjects, which might indicate that you can't absorb 150 grams of protein in 1 meal. But yeah,
but then there's another thing. You don't need 150 grams of protein in a meal, even if you're doing intermittent fasting. Sure, I've had probably upwards of 300 grams of protein in a meal, just because I think it's
Steak
awesome
for the win.
Yeah, because eating a barbecue with friends and whoops, I guess we had a few beers and we ate an entire
calories,
4 chickens. Yeah, whoops.
Oh,
I guess I'll just have to work out extra hard tomorrow. Oh well, But like I said, you don't need 150 grams, and people who are doing that are probably just doing it wrong anyway. There are studies for both that show nominal differences between, any kind of muscle building effects or fat loss effects. But the ones that are, very interesting to me are the controls on leptin sensitivity and insulin sensitivity that have apparently been improved by lowering meal frequency. Because that was one of my biggest issues. When you go from being tremendously overweight to average, and even I look average now, but I still weigh significantly more than my normal counterparts, and I think that's because of bone density adaptations.
Yeah.
But I digress. When you lose a whole bunch of weight, your hormones start going crazy because they're used to you being a certain weight and having certain appetite signals or lack thereof, or fullness signals or lack thereof. And when you're only eating, for me, in my case, maintenance is around 3,500 calories a day. Your hormones start going, wacko, and they want you to be eating all the time. And that's exactly my problem. Part of the reason I don't eat until the afternoon typically is because once I start eating, I want to continue eating.
And
Until
you're full, right?
Yeah, until I'm full, which takes a lot longer than it does for normal people. And so it's it's all about treating my body like a machine, and it's starting to pay off.
So anyway, about the fasting thing, I wanted to talk about hunger, especially because I don't eat, I think I eat 5 meals per day or so. I don't eat it because I want to follow a bodybuilding approach or stuff like that. It's just because I started doing this like, I don't know when it was, like 2 years ago or stuff like that. I started eating more frequently, and it just became a habit, and it's okay for me. And also, I can't bear the hunger for so long. When I don't eat for a couple of hours, I get really, really hungry. And that's why I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, and I eat breakfast at 7 a.m. and then I eat a snack at 10 a.m. and then I eat a lunch at 1 p.m., 1:30 p.m. Then I eat dinner at about 6 to 7 p.m. and also another snack or late night dinner, you could say, at about 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And, it works for me. It might not work for you, but I'm wondering about whether you're really craving for food a lot, if hunger is a problem. I mean, obviously, there's never just good sides about special nutrition that makes you lose weight or makes you bulk up. There's always or almost always a bad side. So what would you say are the good sides and the bad sides about intermittent fasting?
Well, since you were talking mostly about hunger for most of that, yeah, if you're not used to the feeling of an empty stomach, it can be a little bit weird and uncomfortable. Sure, you'll feel hungry, at least until you adapt. That's the thing about any diet. I mean, low carb, you might feel, oh God, I have no energy, but you adapt.
So tired.
Yeah, you adapt. The same thing happens when you're fasting. I love the feeling of having nothing in my stomach.
How can you love that?
Well, it's weird. After a while, it doesn't feel like hunger. It just feels like you're very lean and kind of ascetic, not aesthetic, but you feel like the discipline. You feel almost cleansed in a way.
Okay, because for me, when I get hungry, it almost feels like pain in my stomach.
Yeah, and I mean there is legitimate hunger when you're trying out intermittent fasting, but the interesting thing is after a while you just don't feel hungry. When you wake up in the morning, you'll probably feel the hungriest that you will until you eat your first meal at 2 or 3 or whenever your first meal is. But I get around that by first of all drinking a lot of water, and that's the number one recommendation for any diet, not just intermittent fasting. I wake up, I drink about a liter of water and get my coffee going. And I drink coffee all day. I love coffee. I love the taste of it. I love the caffeine. It's just, I have coffee every day. It's my favorite beverage.
Addiction. Right?
Yes, I think
I'm
that's another
calling
word
it.
for it. Yeah. So I drink a lot of coffee, but the liquid fills me up initially, and then after that, it's just a matter of being busy. Most of the time when I eat, it's out of boredom. It's like, oh, I guess I have nothing to do. I guess I'll cook something tasty. So, so just keeping myself busy and keeping myself caffeinated is the best way to suppress my appetite.
Great. So did you actually use this intermittent fasting thing or technique as a way to lose fat, or was it just recently that you discovered it, or how did you actually lose those 100-something pounds that you mentioned?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't discovered intermittent fasting until I had already lost all of the weight that I was going to lose.
Okay.
I used intermittent fasting initially to bulk up, which
Ah.
was pretty interesting, and it was a very fun experience because you essentially stuff yourself until you're delirious with food.
Yeah.
But when I lost weight, it was simple, very severe calorie restriction. I went from a diet of, I don't know, probably 4,500, 5,000 calories a day, whatever I had to maintain 300 plus pounds, to roughly 1,200, 1,400 calories a day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And
so that's why you mentioned that you lost quite a bit of muscle too.
I think so too. Yeah. In addition to fat, because I got down to a certain point where my body started fighting back a little bit, but I was just so obsessed with, losing the rest of my weight that I said, screw it. I'm going to keep going. This has been working. Even if I'm, a little hungry all day, it's still working. So I'm going to continue doing it. And so from about 200 pounds down to 176, which was my lightest, I was pretty hungry all the time. I think I lost a fair amount of muscle.
I guess so, man. That must be crazy adaptation by your body to keep up with that.
Especially since I was at the time doing the Strong Lifts 5x5 program, and so
you did that on a cut?
I was losing muscle and eating at a caloric deficit while still getting stronger, which was pretty silly.
That's crazy, man. But I guess that's because you just started out with the big movements, right? Or
yeah, I mean, with the exception of bench press, that was the staple of every routine.
Obviously. How much do you bench, bro?
How much do you bench, bro? You need a spot?
Need a spotter? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm fine.
So anyway, I'm wondering, because you say you use it to bulk up, actually.
Yeah.
What would you advise other people who want to use it either to bulk up or to lose weight? If they want to do intermittent fasting, what would you tell them what to take care of and stuff like that? What would you suggest them? What should they avoid, or
so how to use intermittent fasting?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the do's and don'ts, basically, of intermittent fasting.
Sure. Well, first, before the do's and don'ts, I mean, I really recommend intermittent fasting for weight loss protocols more than I do bulking. Just because most of the time, if you're a skinny little kid, and stop believing in body types, there's no such thing as a mesomorph or whatever, ectomorph. If you're a skinny kid who's not eating enough, I wouldn't recommend intermittent fasting because
obviously because you will be on a cut, right?
Yeah, you'll be on a cut.
Then if you're skinny, you can't bulk up on a cut.
Yeah, exactly. So I really recommend it for either weight loss or body recomposition protocols. And it's just because it's easier to manage a caloric deficit when you can eat yourself silly every night.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But getting on to actual procedure, I think the most important thing that people need to think about when they're talking about doing an intermittent fasting diet is what kind of food sources they're planning on having during their main meals, because that affects your hunger for the next day. And I'm talking about, people who eat a box or two of cereal, maybe me, are going to feel a little bit hungry the next day because you just completely spiked your insulin. You had a whole bunch of carbs. You're going to feel bloated. All these feelings of I just ate 2 boxes of cereal are going to persist through your life for a little while.
So if you do the intermittent fasting, you say it's just about the macros, getting the macros, but basically what you said now, means that there's a lot more than that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I
it's
think
not just about the macros, it's just also about the types of food you eat. So
absolutely, and it's the same thing with any diet. It's like dirty bulking versus clean bulking. You know, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. However, those calories make you feel significantly different.
Yeah.
So
I mean, obviously, we know that if you really have or consume so and so many calories less than your TDE, you're going to lose weight at this rate. But
precisely,
or if you're going to eat more than your TDE, you're going to gain weight at such and such rate.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, there's a difference between getting the nutrients or the macros from clean food, or dirty food, however you want to call it, like fast food, or if you just eat 10 Big Macs per day, or if you eat your regular diet and then a gallon of milk a day, or if you eat whole grains and lean meat and stuff like that, fish and vegetables, etc. It really does make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Regarding the gaining and losing of weight, a calorie is just a calorie. That's just how our bodies work, but
that's just how physics
there is more to that.
Yeah. No, which brings me to another point. Definitely do not try a low-fat diet in conjunction with intermittent fasting. There's nothing worse than feeling like your brain is about to just shut off because you've been just eating a whole bunch of carbs and lean proteins for dinner. You need to consider omega-3 supplementation. I enjoy having fish oil capsules throughout the day, when I'm not eating, just pop in a couple here and there. It's only 20, 30 calories. So it's not really going to upset anything. But they help a lot with tendons too, I think, right? And ligaments. Yeah, absolutely. Really healthy for your tendons, your joints. I prefer high-fat diets to anything, really. If I could just eat a whole bunch of meat and vegetables and oily food, I'd be a happy camper. And that's how I generally eat anyway. So
I think that's pretty crucial for any diet, because there is low-carb diet, low-fat diet, etc., etc. But you always have to be careful to don't eat. Yeah, how should I say it? How to eat enough, still eat enough fat without being on a deficit of, I don't know how to say, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, balancing. You can't
just exclude fat from your diet entirely. That will be a very painful experience if you try to do that.
Oh yeah, no, I remember my.
Because some people do just that. They say, okay, I want to lose weight fast. I'm just going to eat veggies and fruits and stuff like that. That's fine. I feel full. But they really don't know what they are doing to themselves.
Especially the guys who take that approach. It's like, I can understand a girl who's like, yeah, I'm going to eat vegetables and fruits and lose a whole bunch of weight. But versus a guy who just is starving themselves into oblivion. And then complains about not being able to gain weight, and then they go do some Bosu ball squats and cry about it.
Oh God.
Yeah. But intermittent fasting, and I've done all different kinds of intermittent fasting. I've done the standard, the 16 hours of fasting, and 8 hours feeding window. I did that for 10 weeks at a time. I've also done eat, stop, eat. So just 2 days out of the week, I have a 24-hour fast, and that just means going from dinner to dinner. It doesn't necessarily mean you're avoiding eating for an entire day, because that is pretty tough. And I have, and I've done 36-hour fasts with just eating 5,000 calories all at once for 2 days.
How did that feel?
It felt pretty interesting because 5,000 calories is a lot of food, especially when the only kinds of food that you have are very voluminous and filling as they are. So I had about 7 pounds of food that night.
Another thing that just came to my mind: if you're fast for that long, isn't it maybe a problem that your stomach gets smaller because you haven't eaten for so long? So you say you eat a lot of calories in one go, but for somebody who's not used to it, he might be having problems with eating so much food at once?
Oh yeah,
Or is this
absolutely, and that's why intermittent fasting isn't necessarily for everyone.
how
Some
can you actually get gradually into intermittent fasting? Because I don't think anybody says, okay, I have eaten all my life 3,500 calories in such and such fashion. Now I'm going to do fasting. Okay, next day I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
So how would you start off, like gradually adapting to the intermittent fasting?
The way that I approached it when I first did the 10 weeks trial period was I started eating breakfast later and later every morning. So I normally ate breakfast when I woke up at 8 o'clock, and I would eat another breakfast at 11 o'clock, and my first lunch at 2 o'clock, and my next lunch at 5 o'clock, just like a young little bodybuilder. And so what I did is I started eating breakfast at 8:30, and then 9, and so on and so forth until my breakfast was at 12. And then I just started skipping it, every once in a while until I felt like, okay, this isn't too bad. I can skip this. And then I started eating my first meal of the day at 2 o'clock, and that was it. And then I ate my last meal at 10.
That's great, man. I hope many people will watch or listen to this interview, because if they watch, they just are going to see me, and that's not so interesting. But I think we already have 55 minutes of...
Yeah, I mean, I think we could definitely break some of this up, or if you want to have a very
if you would
specific
like to,
conversation at some later time.
Yeah, I think it's not bad to have these kind of generic questions and very long and blah 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 answers, because at the end of the day you're still going to benefit a lot from those personal experiences, opinions and stuff like that. While they might not be what's written in stone, and they might still be quite beneficial for the people who watch this. So
I hope so.
I really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, me too.
But let's wrap it up. The main topic for today. If you could tell somebody who would like to try it or get into intermittent fasting, if there would only be one thing you could tell them, what would it be? Like one suggestion or one rule, or don't break the golden rule, which is?
Don't break the golden rule, which is man up and just don't eat until your fasting period is over. Otherwise, you're not doing the program.
You're not doing the program. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a catchphrase too.
That's one of my favorites.
All right. So that's it for the main topic for today. We still have a little bit of stuff till the interview ends. For example, you mentioned that you want to start a blog.
Yeah.
So it's not there yet, right?
I think it would be pretty fun just to muse about random things, and if people are interested in reading about how I think about weightlifting, or how I think about how weightlifting fits into everyday life, etc., etc., it would be pretty fun.
That's right. If you ever manage to actually start it, you can always tell me, and I will put it in the video description below. Also, I will put a link there to your progress diary, because obviously, why wouldn't I put it there? It's
yes.
Yeah. So people who don't know you, I also have a couple of German subscribers. They might want to check your diary out and read a bit, because you obviously have such an amazing inspiration and transformation, success story.
Thank you.
Nice guy. I don't know. The list is endless.
All of these things are good things.
Yeah. You're welcome. Also, I suppose you don't have a Twitter, right? People could follow you on if they would be interested in your daily activities, if they want to stalk you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are
that's
ways
fine.
for people to stalk people on the internet.
Yeah, there are enough ways. They know your first name now, so
That's true. I'm in trouble.
You're not safe anymore, man. You're not safe.
The world is a dangerous place, my friend.
Okay. So finally, before we close this interview, do you have any shout-outs you would like to do?
Absolutely, man. Adrian, Abdomniator, you need to start posting more regularly, because I miss watching your daily training. There you go.
Other than that, nothing? Nobody deserves a shout out, man. What about your mom or something?
Oh, hey mom. Hey mom. I'll link her.
internet,
I'll link her this email in an email. Maybe she'll be able to figure it out.
Oh man, that will be terrible. She will hate me. And
shout out to all my ex-girlfriends who don't look like.
Actually, I want to get back to the member questions, because there was a question related to a girl.
Oh yeah.
Also by Ruby90. The girl that gave you the greatest compliment last year.
Yeah.
Did you get her?
Long story short, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's it for today or tonight. Don't know when you're actually listening to this. Thank you so much for being on this show.
My pleasure.
I hope it gets popular. If not, then I'm sorry. I did the best I could do. I hope you're satisfied with it today.
Hey man,
with the interview
totally happy to be your first guinea pig.
Oh wow, man. Oh man. So anyway. Thank you. I'm pointing at the camera. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you had a great time, just like I did, and hopefully David or Polish did. Check him out on the forums. Check out his progress diary. Also check out his blog once it gets launched. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but sometime in
soon.
2000. Soon.
Yes.
Okay. Soon. All right. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.
Cheers.